Hello, hello, hello. The truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So, as I've said many times, and it's very important to reiterate, the world has never been better. When you look at every single objective statistic, reality is as good as it gets. I shouldn't say as good as it gets. God is infinite. It will always get better. It will get better physically, it will get better spiritually. But really, that's all that exists, the physical and the spiritual. And physically, nobody could have dreamed of the times we're living in. And spiritually, nobody could have ever dreamed of the times we're living in. And even though sometimes we have this kind of thought process of nostalgia, oh, it was better before, well, I learned something very remarkable today. This is perhaps the most important thing to understand. And if you understand this, you're good to go. Why does God create separation? Separation could be separation between people, separation between man and God. When we began, we were all one, literally all one. And then God sort of separated our souls from Him, separated us into male, female, different nations. What's the whole idea of separation? The answer is you can only have unity if you have separation. A man and woman love each other precisely because they're not each other. The love and the friendship that a male and male can have is not the same as a male and a female because it comes with a much greater dynamic. And the same thing, as long as we're with God in heaven, we're sort of one, we don't have that same need and that same yearning and love as when we're down here. Now think about this. The Jewish people started off with Abraham. There was a knowledge of God. And then, unfortunately, the Jews lose their religion. Everything comes from God. So they didn't lose fully their identity, but they became, God forbid, idol worshippers in Egypt. Now, that was 210 years of hell. And yet, after that, the reconnection to God was unbelievable. Matan Torah is something that never happened in history, and in certain respects never will happen. Revelation of God Himself giving us the essence of the Torah, the essence of Judaism. It was such a beautiful moment. And then we find, instead of, everything being good, we go into exile. And in the exile, we have 70 years in the Babylonian exile, and then we get the Second Temple. Again, that reconnection on a much deeper level. As we know, it says that the Jewish people only accepted the Torah when God gave them the Torah, but they did it. They were with conviction from the times of the Purim story. And then finally, we're in the final phase, the last 2,000 years. In fact, the Sfas Emes, who was one of the first Gerer Rebbes, very great Rebbe, sort of predicted the terrible things to come, speak about Chavlei Mashiach, because he said before the great revelation of Mashiach, where we will be one with Hashem face to face. And the greatest thing that can happen is God. I have a friend, he's an officer in the Israeli army, so I don't know if this is totally normal, but his whole thing is, I want God to speak to me eyeball to eyeball. Okay, at least he's concerned about God. But the point is, and this is a very deep point, that's how God spoke to Moses. Nema b'chol beisi. He's just like, he's my guy. And for God to truly, the whole purpose of this world is dir b'tachtonim, God should dwell within us. Not like, oh wow, it's a fireworks show like Matan Torah, it's like unbelievable. No, it's like I'm speaking to you. I'm giving you good advice, friend to friend. Obviously, you have to have respect for the voice. It's the voice of God. But still, that's the way God wants to come to us. That's a revelation of infinite dimensions. Once that revelation comes, it's there forever. And anybody who's experienced this, and it's happening all over the world, statistics show, even though more people are leaving organized religion, more people are becoming spiritual, which is the essence of the religion, a deep personal connection to God. And so therefore, we're literally in the Messianic era already, because the essence of the Messianic era is the revelation of the essence of God. And in a sense, the essence of God is not a fireworks show. It's friend to friend. It's lover to lover. It's helper to helper. That's what it is. And therefore, as I've had occasion to mention before, something that changed my life, I read this in 365 Meditations from Tzvi Friedman. He says, brings down from the Rebbe, if you would like to get God's advice, because sometimes God is speaking to you already, you just don't realize it. The Rebbe says often it happens, it's just in your own frequency, right? God's not using some voice from some other frequency, he's using your own thoughts, which is a frequency. And so therefore, all you have to do is ask God, and the first thought that comes to your mind is his reply.